Ебать бомбят. Мать твою. Охуеть. Ебать, бляди, ебани, сука, я их рот ебал, что вы все, сука, сдохли просто, блядь. Ублюдки, нахуй. Суки, ебани, блядь.
Currently, as I'm recording this, it marks the 17th day of this war taking place. And my only, I guess, question to Putin would be, what are you getting that literally supersedes the life of someone who is innocent? Someone who doesn't owe you anything. Someone who literally just woke up that morning looking forward to another day of life. So I'm going to get into the details. And some of the details is that there are different reports going on as to how many individuals have died. So far, I believe that it's been reported that 474 Ukrainian civilians have been killed. And there's about 1,800 that's actually been injured. And then you have the Ukrainian soldiers, which looks to be about, I don't want to get this wrong, it's between 2,000 and 4,000 Ukrainian troops that have been killed in battle. And also in terms of the Russian soldiers, I think that it's between approximately on the high end 4,500. And that's based upon the US officials and their reporting. So, people are dying on a daily basis. So I'm pretty sure that these numbers aren't even reliable as to the actual exact count. But, as it progresses, hopefully it doesn't. Right now, there's talks that's going on in regards to both countries, and it looks promising that within the next few days there should be a resolution. In some areas there's already a ceasefire taking place, so that's a good start. But Ukraine has said, listen, we're not going to do ultimatums. We're not going to give up our freedom. We're not going to give up our democracy. We are not going to become an enslaved Russia. That's not what we're going to do. So if you're not going to provide any other means of resolution, then essentially Ukraine said you could stick it. And I'm with them, because it's one thing for you to have a president or a prime minister, depending upon the country that you're in, that isn't doing what they said they would do when, campaigning, when there were elections, when this, that, and the third. And, we here have seen it. Donald Trump, okay? Like, a lot can be said about Donald Trump. Now, look at the way the country has reacted, towards him and his presidency. The reason why I bring this up is that it's one thing to actually be a citizen or a civilian or just a member of society that is currently being governed by someone who is not doing their job adequately, sufficiently, professionally, or constructively. However, it's a whole nother thing when you are enslaved to the point where democracy doesn't exist. That's a whole nother thing. Because at that point in time, it means that this individual does not have to give up power unless this individual wants to. That's not a term of 4 years here, like or 8, which is the maximum. That's not the case. If it's a dictatorship, okay, then this is what is going to happen. They can be in power until the day they died. So I understand what the concerns are, and I understand and stand with the Ukrainians that are fighting. The president of Ukraine, he basically said all individuals between the ages of, I believe it's 16 and about 60, I think, all males are required to stay and fight. So he put that into effect. That was, martial law. All right. However, I think the world was kind of surprised when we saw that individuals like weren't just staying for the purpose of the draft. They were staying because they wanted to fight for their country. They were staying because it meant so much to them, and this was their home, and they weren't going to allow somebody to just take it and rip it apart. They were fighting for the home that their children knew, that the children who they did not have but planned on having would love to be able to grow up in. They would want to raise a family in. They were fighting for all of that. Men, women, even younger children, they understood what was at stake. A lot of people are coming from other countries to the aid of Ukrainians, saying, I have a set of skills. I have a set of skills that could help in this war, right? I have a set of skills that Ukrainians can benefit from. And they're going over there. They're volunteering. This is not just a Ukraine-Russia issue. This is a humanitarian issue. One country is at war with another country. The world is at war. Now, I'm going to get into some other stuff. Basically, right, Ukraine wants a membership to the EU, right? And what does that mean? So I'm going to just give you a little bit of information. So Ukraine's entry into the bloc, it would be important in furthering discussions with Russia because now they actually have aid. And just like in NATO, you know, there's a country that's on attack, all the allies of that country have to come to the defense of that country on the attack. It's the same thing in this bloc. Ukraine will have the support of its neighboring countries, right? Its allies, where it's a mutual defense clause, and it requires that other members, right, help a country that is a victim of armed aggression on its territory, which is exactly what this is. So that is why the president of Ukraine has been so passionate about, you know, the country, right, and his efforts be recognized and acknowledged into the acceptance of this EU bloc, because he would get the support necessary and there would be aid that would be coming to him just off of the basis of this is a mutual understanding. There's a mutual responsibility. This is why this is so important, because Ukraine would be able to have someone else on its side against Russia and possibly put this fight to a very prompt end rather than have it continue and we see who, you know, outlasts the other. Now, I want to also say that the admission to the bloc would provide Ukraine with the economic support that it would need in order to reestablish the country once the war has been over. It would provide the economic relief to the refugees, but it would also provide them with the finances necessary to continue defending themselves to the best of their ability. So that's another thing to keep in mind. That's another thing to consider in this whole situation. And don't forget that, you know, the bloc's top diplomat, who is Joseph Borrell, he said that the immediate priority in view of Russia's war on Ukraine was to provide practical support to the country to counter the Russian invasion rather than discussing the long-term issues that could take years. Because acceptance into the bloc is not something that happens overnight. It's not something that is a short process. There are a lot of stuff that is required in order for a country to be eligible to be a part of that bloc. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, like there are certain economic milestones that they have to attain. There are certain diplomatic milestones that they have to attain. There are certain things that they have to put in effect in the country in order to be a member of that bloc. to the fact that there is a Russian invasion, due to the fact that there is armed aggression, there's not a lot of time to sit down and say, hey, we require all of this from you. This is about saving human lives. This is about saving the democratic nature of a country. And this is not something that can be taken lightly. This is not something that one can just say, oh, yeah, sure, I'm going to consider it 2-3 weeks from now. Two days from now, maybe, the onslaught of tens of thousands. It may be 50,000 individuals who pass, both Ukrainians and Russians. So this is why this is so imminent. And guys, just take understanding of that. This is the reason why. This would enable the negotiations to reach a much more critical, immediate, as well as fair resolution to both parties. And what I mean by fair resolution to both parties, before you guys jump the gun and say, but hold on, why do we care about Russia? We can't look at these countries as people, okay? There are Russian soldiers who want nothing to do with this war, who did not know at the point in time that they were deployed to the Ukraine, that they were going there to start a war and to start killing Ukrainians that a lot of them consider brothers. These individuals that do not want any part of it shouldn't be, I want to say, deemed as evil. They shouldn't be deemed as repugnant. They shouldn't be deemed as a lost cause of their lives mattering as well and trying to save their lives. At the end of the day, for those that wanted to go to war, like, I have no empathy for you at all. At all. But for the individuals of the Russian troops who really and truly do not want to be over there, they did not sign up for something of this nature. They did not think when joining the army that they would be faced with this dilemma at any point in time with their lives. I want for them to also be accounted for. I want for in the negotiations for them to be looked up for. It does not mean that I don't think the Ukrainian troops are going through what the Russian troops are. No, I am even more empathetic. My heart breaks. Like I cried so many times over the past couple of weeks that this has been happening. I have cried. I remember one morning I woke up. I think this was like on, I think maybe like February 27th, maybe. And I woke up and I cried for like 3 hours because I was so overwhelmed with the situation and what happened. And so I break for Ukraine and what they're experiencing and what they're going through. And my saying this about the Russian troops does not negate my feelings toward the Ukrainians, right? Like, we all know that this war is a wicked, cruel injustice, okay, that has no bearing on any sort of justification whatsoever where Putin is concerned. Okay, these individuals who are losing their families, losing their lives, that are being injured, that are being, dismembered. These individuals are the people that we're supposed to care and be concerned for. Civilians are losing their lives in Ukraine because Putin is giving orders, and there are certain soldiers that are carrying and executing these orders, okay, that are shelling maternity wards, which just happened the other day. Like, Putin said he was not going to go after residential areas, and he lied. Now, one thing I will say is that a lot of the citizens in Russia, they are unaware as to the extent of what it is that has been going on, okay, in the Ukraine, because Russia has, as in Putin, has censored the media. People are getting arrested. People are getting charged. They're looking at multiple years in jail for the mere fact that they're standing up and they're speaking their piece and they are protesting. Okay, they're sharing information. This is what it is like. So a lot of people in Russia, they may side with Putin unaware as to what the actual facts are. And so you have to also think about that. A lot of people in Russia, those that are aware, can get access to the information. They're exposed to the data and the facts. They are so against the war, completely against the war. And they see it as unjustifiable. So I want to make that clear. So it's not, guys, to say, okay, you hate Russia. Like, say you hate Putin. Don't say you hate Russia, because there are a lot of people that are there that say, no, this is not right. This is unjustifiable. I cannot stand for this. But they live in that country, and they have to deal with that sort of president. So, like I said, it's a humanitarian issue. It's a worldwide issue.